What's up everyone, it's Kadi with MoneyVest. So in this video, I wanted to do a quick comparison video for all cybersecurity stocks. And as mentioned earlier in my previous videos, I have no exposure in cybersecurity, which is exactly why I am looking to either buy an ETF that has all of these companies in one place, or looking to pick up a couple of really strong cybersecurity companies. So I'm going to break down 5 in this video. I've got a whole spreadsheet which I'm going to break down. We're going to talk about the actual market prices, the performance this year, the fair value that I've calculated by myself, and of course the entire fundamental analysis based on the valuation, balance sheet metrics, growth criterias, and everything else as well. As always, if you enjoy this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And again, links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining and of course getting access to all the members only private videos. There is a 16% annual discount until the end of December. And you do get access to all the 20+ Discord channels, including trade alerts, buy and sell alerts, options alerts. Everything's going to be included with the link down below as well. Also, the Christmas sale is here. Coupon code Santa Rally for the 50 to 60% discount on individual courses and bundles as well. This does expire at the end of Christmas, so December 28th is when this actually goes away. So coupon code again is going to be Santa Rally, available for another 5 to 6 days. And do connect with me on Instagram. My handle is going to be CastWRP. So when it comes to the cybersecurity stocks, these right here is my list. So what I've done here is that I've basically taken into account 5 companies: Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Fortinet, Zscaler, and Cloudflare. So these are the 5 that we're going to analyze in this video, and all of them have actually performed really well in the last few months, especially in 2023. Palo Alto Networks is up 111%. CrowdStrike has also been absolutely on this stellar rally, up 138% year to date. Fortinet has not performed as well because it's actually been selling off. In fact, this month it's up 12.5%, but year to date, stocks up close to 20%, so nowhere near close to CrowdStrike or Palo Alto Networks. Zscaler, on the other hand, same exact thing. Year to date, the stock's up over 92%. And finally, Cloudflare, I don't believe it has actually rallied all that much. Year to date, it's actually up over 82%. But still significantly down from its all-time highs. So these are the 5 companies, and out of all, as I've already mentioned, Fortinet has been kind of like one of my top picks for very obvious reasons, because among all, it's got a lot more quality to its business, meaning that we've got very strong profitability and very good margins with excellent balance sheet and actual executed business plan with Fortinet. With the other ones, they are kind of turning the corner towards profitability. So again, if you come over, take a look at Palo Alto Network, which is nothing wrong with these things. And in fact, one of the reasons why I did mention that these companies, Palo Alto, even the likes of Upstart, even the likes of CrowdStrike, they could actually rally, is because they're turning the corner towards profitability, right? So they're actually moving towards profitability, which obviously is a big deal for Wall Street. And you can see that 2023, Palo Alto has actually performed really well. The margins have grown, and it has now gone from losses to a profitable year. And of course, on a quarter-over-quarter basis, they've also grown margins. They've done really well. And of course, we are seeing a very nice net income on the bottom line for the company as well. So very nice consistent growth coming in from Palo Alto Network for revenues and profitability. Same thing is true with CrowdStrike. So again, if you take a look, same exact story. It's almost back up to its all-time highs, by the way. And if you scroll down, you'll notice that again, it is increasing its margins, getting better, and it is now actually turning a corner towards profitability. So after the after the fourth quarter of last year, it's been turning out a profit on a GAAP basis, which again is a very good thing and exactly what investors want to see. And same exact thing is true with Zscaler as well. So you can see, come down here a little bit. They're going to take a little bit longer, I believe, but again, their margins are getting better. You can see that orange line kind of moving up. And of course, we're seeing profitability on the horizon for this business. And then finally, Cloudflare. I don't believe Cloudflare is going to be as close, but they are also somewhat turning the corner very soon here towards profitability. So that's actually very important. And for that reason, I think Fortinet was always my top pick, but there are also other competitors. There's also other companies now that have a lot of potential. And we're talking long term, right? So when I'm talking about investing, when I'm talking mostly about 10 years out. So just because the stocks have made a 100% move or a 200% move year to date does not mean the move is entirely over. Yes, it has performed really well this year, but When it comes to investing long term, we're talking 10 years, 20 years out, because cybersecurity is one industry where I'm banking on for the long term is going to become increasingly more important as the world becomes more digital. There's going to be more need for cyber protection, cybersecurity, identity protection. So this is where a lot of these companies come into the equation, right? So just because they've performed really well this year or last year doesn't mean the move is entirely over. In fact, if anything, it could only be starting because of the overall total addressable market and how much momentum and potential these companies have from a 10, 20-year perspective. So very quickly going over my fair values. So none of them are trading at my fair values, which makes a lot of sense because I've already rallied over 90, 100, 120, 200%. The only one closest is going to be Fortinet, and that's after it has already dropped and has already rallied a little bit after almost up to $60. And my fair value, of course, as we already know, for the longest time has been sitting at sub $40. Now, when it comes to the revenue, from a revenue perspective, Palo Alto is kind of leading the way at just under $6.9 billion and 25% growth, but most growth came from about CrowdStrike, 54% growth, and EPS, of course, only Fortinet is kind of leading the way there, 45% growth on a year-over-year basis to just over $1 per share. Now, when it comes to the balance sheet, they've all got phenomenal balance sheet, except CrowdStrike's got the best balance sheet at 3.7 times cash versus total debt. Fortinet coming in at a reasonable second, 2.2, and then we've got Palo Alto at 1.75. So debt to free cash flow, I like for this number to be under 3. Palo Alto is at 5.26, so a little bit on the higher side. Everything else except for Cloudflare is really low, especially Fortinet, really, really low. So you got an excellent balance sheet and a profitable business for Fortinet. And net debt to EBITDA, we also look for this number under 3. Since CrowdStrike has a lot more cash than debt on the balance sheet, we can kind of ignore the net debt to EBITDA multiples or even debt to free cash flow multiples. But Fortinet is the one with the best. And of course, Palo Alto is really, really low with a very strong EBITDA. Now, total assets over total liabilities, every single one of them is positive except for Fortinet, which is less than 1. It is still positive, but it is less than 1, which is slightly less than 1. So total assets slightly do, total liabilities slightly do exceed total liabilities here. And the current ratio is good for every single one of them except for Palo Alto, which is less than 1. And when it comes to valuation multiples, we are, of course, looking at a 40 to 50 times earnings multiple on Fortinet, with 220 times on Palo Alto. CrowdStrike still negative because we haven't really seen an entire year of profitability yet. And Zscaler and Cloudflare also are negative because we haven't seen actual profitability yet. Now, on a price to sales basis, perhaps this is going to be the best comparable multiple to look at for all these companies. Fortinet trades at its lowest at 9.75, and CrowdStrike trades at its highest along with Cloudflare at 27 to 29 times a sales multiple, right? So these are very, very expensive numbers when it comes to valuation. Palo Alto is kind of reasonable at 14, and Zscaler is also, I would say, really high at 20. Price for free cash flow, Fortinet's 40, Palo Alto's 47. So I would assume these two to be kind of like a lot more reasonable in terms of their value. CrowdStrike's at 85, Zscaler is at 71, and of course Cloudflare is 381 with enterprise value to EBITDA. Again, Fortinet kind of leading the way here, just under 40 versus everything else is either negative or somewhat very, very high at the moment. So, based on this analysis, of course, none of them actually make any sense. Of course, from a fundamental standpoint, technically speaking, the trend is your friend. The momentum's carrying them forward to 100 to 200% rally. And of course, if you've got a very, very long time horizon, 10, 20 years, I guess there is some argument to be made that there is potential in these companies worth buying and of course holding on for the next 10, 20 years as their businesses expand in a very strong growing total addressable market. But my top picks for cybersecurity would be Fortinet would be at a very, very significant number 1 position. Palo Alto Networks would be at a close second, so I'm going to do a little bit of a different green. And then CrowdStrike would be the third company that I would be a lot more interested in from a perspective of holding on to long term and of course having exposure in cybersecurity. And Zscaler would be coming in at a close third, along with CrowdStrike as well. But of course, Cloudflare needs definitely a lot of expansion. I mean, it's the lowest revenue, not profitable. We've got valuation, which is extremely high, highest price to sales, negative price to earnings, very strong current ratio, but it's also got the lowest cash to debt. And of course, the growth is somewhat 48% revenue growth is, I guess, good, but again, it's coming off of very, very small revenue numbers. So for me, Fortinet is still going to be my top pick at $39. At sub $40, I'd be a lot more interested in those prices, then followed by Palo Alto, which would be the second best in my opinion for me. And then of course going into sort of a CrowdStrike and then Zscaler kind of hand in hand for those two companies as well. But of course, there's also the Bug ETF. That's the Global X Cybersecurity ETF, which I believe has a lot of these companies already. There's not a lot of volume though. Year to date, this is up 40%. And volume is really, really low, only 150,000 shares traded, but it has done really well in the last couple of months. It's rallied over 30%, almost getting back up to its all-time highs, kind of a very similar pattern to what we have seen for a lot of cybersecurity stocks. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, and which one of these 5 do you prefer, or do you own any of them? What would you like to add? What would you like to sort of suggest in the comment section down below? Have an engaging discussion. Let us know in the comments section down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like. Do connect me on Instagram. My handle is going to be CasWRP. Check out our Christmas sale for all the courses. Coupon code SantaRally for 50 to 60% off. And definitely do join our Patreon and our Discord with all the alerts, options alerts, trade alerts, binds alerts. Everything's going to be included with the link down below as well. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.